let's get started on smoking on this fucking dipshits pack. Joe Lieberman, giant piece of shit, literally almost single-handedly responsible for not having universal health care in this country. Just fuck him, honestly.
Joe Lieberman, the former senator and vice presidential candidate.
Joe Lieberman's entire goal in Congress is basically to play the role of spoiler, okay?
Yesterday at
famous
the age of
spoiler
82.
guy.
He was known for
he was the OG spoiler. Like, I mean, he wasn't the OG spoiler, but like he was the spoiler for the Obama administration.
Party line that was still active on the political scene in this election year. Our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl, has more on his life and legacy. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Michael. Joe Lieberman was an American original, a man of faith, a man of principle, a partisan Democrat who turned independent, a man who tried to overcome political differences during our deeply divided time. In 2000, Joe Lieberman came within just a few hundred votes in Florida of becoming the first Jewish vice president in American history. As he accepted the Democratic nomination that year, he vowed to do everything he could to help his party win the White House.
And I want you to know tonight that I will work my heart out to make Al Gore the next president of the United States.
Democrats loved it, but Lieberman was never one to put party first. And just 8 years later, he was once again center stage at a party convention. This time, the Republican convention, endorsing his friend, John McCain.
Being a Democrat or a Republican is important, but it is nowhere near as important as being an American.
I hate this fucking piece of shit so goddamn much. Like OG, early Christian cinema ass, dumbass, bullshit ass, bitch ass motherfucker. Just absolute piece of shit. There was a bot that was trying to get interaction by asking if they should send you news so you won't video game yourself. That's awesome. What has become of the world? What has become of Twitter? Can you be nicer to Connecticut now that one of our demons are gone? By the way, it's pretty funny because, like, you know how I always have the smoke for Connecticut? Like, he's one of the guys. He's one of the reasons why I have the smoke for Connecticut. Him and fucking, what's his face? Is it Chris Murphy or Chris Coons? No, it's Chris Murphy, right? It's like, I can't stand this motherfucker. I could not stand this motherfucker, and I can't stand Chris Murphy. Just so annoying. This guy went off on Joe Lieberman.
Did do personally. So
yeah. Okay, look, see? Obama boys got the smoke for Joe. Smoking on the dead ops pack. Jon Favreau. Shocking. Because remember, these guys are like civility politics guys. Or not Jon Favreau, Jon Lovett. Sorry. Fuck, what am I saying? Favreau is also a part of Crooked Media. These are the Pod Johns. Remember, they were Obama speechwriters. So, of course, they fucking despise Joseph Lieberman for tanking like a big chunk of Obama's like signature accomplishments, especially in the form of the ACA. Like, there was a supermajority in the Democratic Party, and of course Joe Lieberman basically fucking did the classic rotating villain shit and cooked it.
after the public option was killed from Obamacare, there was a compromise proposal. Now, of course, Obamacare is a compromise, and the public option is a compromise. So this was a compromise on a compromise on a compromise. And the compromise was that near seniors, people 55 and older, would be allowed to buy Medicare. I'm sorry for going to the details, but to me, this is one of the most galling and despicable things a person's ever done.
I suspect Lovett made this a while back, for the record. I suspect that this is old and it's being resurfaced now because, like, didn't you do an episode in the old pod with him? Yeah. I think that this is an older, Jon Lovett did this back in the day probably, and it's being resurfaced now. Hasan made a video with Lovett. Yeah, I did back in 2021.
They're scum, right? But even then, in comparison to what you see on Facebook, it's like, well, at least they're not saying that there are space lasers. And
yeah, I'm tapped in with the Pod Johns. You know, those are my boys. Remember that. Do you think it's possible to get him on the show at some point? Yeah, of course.
Done, and I will repeat this till the day I die. The Medicare buy-in, 55 plus. So what that means is near seniors can buy into a public option. My parents would have loved to have this. They were counting down the days till they were eligible for Medicare because their premiums were going up because they were older, and people that are nearing retirement are sicker and require more medical care than younger people because your bodies are falling apart because of the vicissitudes of evolution, and it really sucks. Not one part of us gets better. And that's the deal. I don't make the rules. I wish I did. I wish I did. It'd be better. They'd be different rules. I don't know how much different, but different. The Medicare buy-in is exactly the kind of thing that a moderate like Joe Lieberman should support. It was fiscally responsible, it was practical, it solved a problem, it was moral, it was just, it was a compromise, it was something Democrats all agreed with, but he has insurance companies in his state, and so he personally kills it. And when you get rid of the Medicare buy-in, so the Medicare buy-in means that near seniors pay less for insurance. It means younger people that are not near seniors pay less for insurance because you just removed a bunch of older people out of the population of people buying insurance, so insurance premiums on the whole go down. Medicare is more efficient than the private system, so insurance costs for healthcare costs for the whole country go down. Care gets better because Medicare provides excellent care. The only people that pay are the insurance companies, but as a favor to the insurance companies in his state, Joe Lieberman killed the Medicare buy-in himself. He was the 60th vote. If he said yes...
Yep, 100%. That's it. That's like, this is the most famous moment for Joe Lieberman's career in a sea of back and forth. Like, I'm an American. I care about America. Like, I'm a compromise guy. That was his signature accomplishment in his life. And honestly, that's just pure evil, even though it doesn't track as pure evil. This is the problem, right? Like, people who operate at the behest of pharmaceutical companies, at the behest of insurance providers that do stuff like this, that legitimately impact the life of millions, hundreds of millions of innocent civilians, never read as villains. We don't think about them as villains. What that man did is basically comic book villain shit, okay? And that's why when there are instances like elderly statesmen getting celebrated by the media for fucking falling on their ass and dying at their old ass age, a beautiful future that they did not offer to millions of Americans as a consequence of their actions at the behest of American corporations, because I'm sure plenty of Americans would love to die in their old age around their fucking family when they fall on their ass, okay, at the age of like 80 or whatever. But they never got there because they never got the health care because we don't have free fucking health care in this country. Fuck that guy. Actual villain.
It would have been in there, and every person in this room is paying more for healthcare because of Joe fucking Lieberman. And so the idea that Joe Lieberman is to come in and lecture us what's good for working families and good for the Democratic Party, he can go fuck himself. Joe,
like, that's it. He's right. That way he literally fell and died, dude. Fuck him, Lamau, that owns. That's what I heard. I don't know. I heard he fell and died from NPR, and I don't think NPR is lying to me. It's because his villainy has been alienated and safely separated from the actual harm to the point that he appears civil instead of him using a pen to kill millions of people. Imagine if someone did that physically, like used a pen as a weapon. Much more gruesome and easy to comprehend. No, because our system is designed to churn out these fucking results, and because of the division of labor in every aspect of our existence, it doesn't track as like a singular person being evil. But that is exactly what it is. And it's not even like a singular person. There's a lot of people that are also just as evil. But it's like kind of crazy to think about because like this guy's got bodies, but we don't ever fucking think about it like that. We don't think about like this guy having bodies, okay, to his name. I don't know. Joe Lieberman is the failure of liberalism. You cannot talk about Joe Lieberman without talking about liberalism's many different glaring, obvious failures. Joe Lieberman is a deity, is yet another great figure of the rotating villain that is embedded in the Democratic Party. It is inside of their infrastructure that the Democratic Party basically relies on. Okay. And the reality is that we need that. We need the Joe Liebermans. Like the Democrats need the Joe Liebermans. They have to have their own internal villains, so they don't just shit on the Republican Party. God forbid. They have to make it easier for the Republicans to win stuff. And yeah, Joe Lieberman, Kirsten Sinema, Joe Manchin. Here's my warning to all the up-and-comer, rotating villain Democrats out there, like that sexy mechanic lady from what's his face from, I think she was from Colorado with the tattoos, like the alt chick, the John Fettermans. Thank you, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, the Problem Solvers Caucus, John Fetterman. Okay, let me tell you, she's not from Colorado, she's from Washington. Okay, you will be remembered in infamy. But not in a good way, but exactly in the same way that we're shitting on Joe fucking Lieberman. Okay? Many of you think you'll make a name for yourselves and you'll live comfortably and, you know, that you will be remembered fondly. You will not be remembered fondly. We will shit on your fucking graves once you are long gone for all of the crimes, for all of the villainous behavior that you subjected the American population to, you subjected the global population to. We will remember them and we'll shit on you. You will not be remembered fondly. So if that's all you care about, and many of these fucking dipshits are self-interested and they do care about that, if you don't want to have a graveyard soaked in piss, then figure it out. Get your shit together. Okay?
Lieberman says in this that Joe Crowley's reelection would be evidence that Democrats are capable of governing again. Fuck you. We are the only governing party this country has had, and the problem with the sleazy people like Joe Lieberman who do no labels and all that bullshit is they look at our politics right now and they would rather say that both parties are to blame than admit the truth, which is we have one party that's lost its fucking mind.
Depending on which way our politics sway in the next 30 years, they may be seen as heroes. Not really. They're still like seen as partisan by the fucking Republicans who will say like, oh, well, he was a Democrat, so he's like a baby eating vampire. It's just like the Democratic Party itself will most likely not hail them as heroes because their job is to be a ruiner of the agenda. Is Fetterman on the same level? I thought he was less a roadblock for legislation and more a genocide pervert. Yeah, he is. I mean, look at his attitude on immigration and shit. You know what I mean?
McCain later said he came close to picking Lieberman to be his running mate. Joe Lieberman served 24 years in the Senate, representing his home state of Connecticut. He was a progressive on most domestic issues and a hawk on foreign policy, a strong supporter of both wars in Iraq. He was a deeply religious man, the oldest of 3 children in an Orthodox Jewish family. He was one of the first prominent Democrats to denounce Bill Clinton's behavior after his affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky was revealed.
Such behavior is not just inappropriate. It is immoral, and it is harmful.
President Clinton called him after that speech and told him he agreed with every word. But it was Lieberman's support of the second Iraq war that infuriated Democrats.
This is a battle in the war on terrorism. Failure and defeat is not an option.
Lieberman ran for president as a Democrat in 2004 in a campaign that never really got off the ground. And when he ran for his 4th Senate term in 2006, he lost the Democratic primary. Undeterred, he ran for re-election anyway and won decisively as an independent. He retired from the Senate in 2012 but remained active in politics, supporting both Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in their campaigns against Donald Trump. But this time, he has helped lead the effort by No Labels, a group he co-founded to run a bipartisan third-party ticket to take on both Trump and Biden. In an interview just last week, appearing a little weaker, but his conviction as strong as ever, he made the case for a bipartisan presidential ticket.
We'll begin to solve our problems, and we'll stop fighting each other all the time, which is what the Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, we got to stop fighting each other all the time and just fight more Muslims. Fucking ghoul, bro. Sucks dick and ass.